Let me ask you a couple of questions. Are you right or left-handed? Do you have any idea why? It turns out you're born with that preference. It's not something that you learned. How does it feel when you try to write with your other hand? Awkward? Slow? Messy? What would it take for you to become as good at writing with your other hand as you are with your preferred hand? My guess is it would take hours and hours of practice. Believe it or not, you just learned a lot about aptitudes. Aptitudes are things that you do well naturally, and since writing with your dominant hand is something that you do naturally, you can consider it an aptitude. Aptitudes are inborn and often show up early in life. You also learned that the most efficient way to write is to use your dominant hand. That's because it's easier to do things for which you have an aptitude. When you do something and it feels like you're writing with the wrong hand, you may be working in an area where you have low aptitude. So why is this important to you? Well, for a couple of reasons. First, the research clearly shows that the key to human development is building on who you already are. Take the handwriting example. You could spend lots and lots of time practicing handwriting with your other hand, and in the end, you might get to be okay at handwriting. But if you spent even a fraction of that time practicing writing with your dominant hand, you could become extraordinary at handwriting. The same is true for your other aptitudes. The best use of your energy is to develop what you already do well naturally. Second, the more your job aligns with your aptitudes, the more it will feel like you're writing with your dominant hand. And if the job includes a lot of tasks where you have low aptitude, it will feel like writing with your opposite hand. In other words, you will be more successful and enjoy your work more if you can work most of the time in areas of your strongest aptitudes. Did you notice I referred to low aptitude and strongest aptitude? It can be helpful to think of an aptitude as a range from low to high, as opposed to either having or not having an aptitude. For instance, you may be better at drawing than your brother, but your friend is even better than you. All three of you are somewhere on the spectrum of aptitude for drawing. There are hundreds of aptitudes. By the way, some people call them talents. What's important is that they are things that you do well naturally. Some examples of aptitudes include public speaking, planning, storytelling, listening, physical coordination, persuading, solving mysteries, playing a musical instrument, fixing mechanical things, organizing, working with numbers, finding patterns in events or ideas. By now you're probably asking yourself, how do I discover my aptitudes? Here are a couple of actions that can help. Keep a list of what you do well naturally, perhaps in an app on your phone so it's convenient. Whenever you realize you're doing something well, something you didn't learn, add it to your list. Split your list into two sections. One section is for things that you do well naturally and enjoy. When you do these things, you get a little emotional lift. The second section is for things that you do well naturally, but you don't really care about. For example, when Abigail practices dance, she has a little emotional lift. That isn't true when she straightens her bedroom, even though she has an aptitude for organizing. Paying attention to the aptitudes that you enjoy using is a key to aligning your work with your abilities. When someone else compliments you for doing something well, they may have identified one of your aptitudes. Since aptitudes are things we do well naturally, we tend to take them for granted and think that it's easy, so easy that anyone can do it. That's the experience Walter had when his teacher complimented him on his presentation to the class. Because it was easy for him, he thought everyone could do it. When someone compliments you for something you did, add it to your list of aptitudes. Because we have a hard time seeing ourselves accurately, it can be helpful to take an assessment to identify our aptitudes. One such assessment is StrengthsFinders 2.0, based on research by Gallup. It identifies clusters of aptitudes and organizes them into 32 themes. The StrengthsFinder book and report can help you identify and label some of the things that you do well and enjoy. Here's a tip about assessments. Don't take one if you're feeling down or angry. It'll mess up your results. Take assessments when you're feeling good about things. Also, understand that assessments are limited, and no assessment can capture all there is to know about you. You're way too complex for that. Also, answer the questions in the assessment as honestly as possible. Sometimes people answer as they wish they were, but that produces inaccurate results, and the results of the assessment are for you. Honest responses will produce more accurate data for you to use. If you get some results from an assessment that you don't think are accurate, ask someone who knows you well for their opinion. Sometimes the greatest value of an assessment is getting results that help us see ourselves as others do. It's one thing to identify your aptitudes. It's another to turn them into strengths. That happens when you add learning and practice. This is why athletes have coaches. Coaches teach them new skills to develop their aptitudes, and practice helps it become second nature. You may have an aptitude for diagnosing problems, but you can't be my doctor until you finish medical school. By adding learning and practice, you can turn your aptitudes into strengths. It's likely that you have aptitudes that you're not aware of, simply because there hasn't been the opportunity to use them yet. Be open to discovering new aptitudes as you have new experiences in life. I want to clarify something important. The terms aptitudes, talents, and skills are often used as if they were the same thing. They aren't. Aptitudes or talents are what you do well naturally. Skills are what you learn. Aptitudes are part of your personal design, but you acquire skills to develop those aptitudes and turn them into strengths. If you'd like to find the other videos in this channel, just click the compass. To be notified of new videos, hit the subscribe button and then click the bell icon.